precisely 1:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Lal Mallavarache, read by Sabrina Zawahir. The headlines. The Paris Club of Creditors have given financing assurance to support the IMF approval of debt sustainability in Sri Lanka. The Sri Lankan ambassador to Israel, Nimal Bandara, has assured that all Sri Lankans living in Israel are safe. All services connected to the supply of electricity and distribution of petroleum products declared as essential services. Another phase of the Jayagamu Sri Lanka mobile service is now underway in Mannar. The funeral of the Sarvodaya founder, Dr. APR Ratna, will be held this evening at the Independence Square. And in world news, an audible sigh of relief in the Middle East. And in sports news, England's oldest men's Test cricket player, Ramon Sabaro, has died aged 92. Now the local news in detail. State Finance Minister Shayan Semasinghe says that the Paris Club of Creditors has given financing assurance to support the International Monetary Fund's approval of an extended fund facility for Sri Lanka. Co-chairman of Paris Club William Russ and State Minister Shayan Semasinghe held talks in the sidelines of IMF and World Bank spring meetings held in Washington. The assurances are crucial to unlocking credits from the IMF, which is still pending Executive Board approval. Paris Club members continue to look forward to working together along with all bilateral creditors and to engage with other key stakeholders in order to proceed with a comparable debt restructuring as soon as possible. Sri Lankan authorities continue to engage all debt restructuring negotiations in good faith within principles of equitable treatment among creditors and with maximum transparency within the norms of such negotiations, State Minister of Finance Shayan Semasinghe has said. State Minister Semasinghe said that they discussed the forthcoming reforms that will unlock the next round of World Bank financing. The Sri Lankan ambassador to Israel, Nimal Bandara, has assured that all Sri Lankans living in Israel are safe amidst attacks carried out by Iran. Issuing a statement, Mr. Bandara said that although Iran targeted Israel with more than 500 shells and missiles recently, Israel's Iron Dome system has managed to neutralize all of them. About 75% of Sri Lankans are serving in households and the rest are working at agriculture fields and construction sites. They are safe due to extensive security plans. The Sri Lankan ambassador stressed that the embassy is constantly looking for the security of Sri Lankan migrant workers living in Israel. A Gazette Extraordinary was issued declaring all services connected to the supply of electricity and or distribution of petroleum products and fuel as essential services from yesterday. The notification was issued by Secretary to the President, Saman Ekanayake. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing local news. Another phase of the Jayagamu Sri Lanka program, organized by the Ministry of Labour and Foreign Employment, is now underway at the Mannar Municipal Council Stadium. It was started under the patronage of Minister Manushana Nayakkara this morning. The program has focused on the specified skilled worker visa project that provides an opportunity for Sri Lankans to earn a high salary in Japan. The ministry said several measures have been undertaken to provide Sri Lankans the opportunity to access job opportunities in Japan under a special visa category, and that interested persons can now apply for jobs in Japan through the special visa project. This mobile service will be held tomorrow as well. The funeral of the Sarvodaya Shramadana movement founder Dr. APR Ratna will be held today at 4 p.m. at the Independence Square with state honours. His remains are now lying at the Sarvodaya headquarters at Ravatavatta, Moratuwa, till 12 noon today before being taken to the Independence Square. Many religious leaders, political leaders and intellectuals paid their final respects to the late Dr. A.T. Ratna at the Sarvodaya headquarters during the past few days. Ratna passed away last Tuesday after a brief illness at a private hospital. He was 92 years old at the time of his death. With that, we conclude the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
The distribution of fortified rice provided by the World Food Programme on behalf of the programme initiated under the instructions of President Ranil Wickremesinghe to provide a nutritious meal for school students commenced at the Veyangoda warehouse complex yesterday. According to the President's Media Division, fortified rice is being provided for school meals in an effort to reduce iron deficiency among school children. This distribution will be conducted under the supervision of Director General for Partnership Secretariat for World Food Programme Corporation, which operates under the purview of the Presidential Secretariat. That was main news.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, health authorities say that there is an increased trend of diarrhea cases among children after the New Year period, and the viral flu and influenza are also rapidly spreading among children in Sri Lanka at present. Lady Ridgeway Hospital's consultant pediatrician Dr. Deepal Pereira advised parents to immediately seek medical attention if their children have been suffering from fever continuously for 3 to 4 days. That came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Moving on to the headlines of World News, an audible sigh of relief in the Middle East. U.S. Congress close to passing long-awaited Ukraine aid. Corporately Live Manchester's £365 million new arena opens with big capacity and plans. Now the world news in detail. The latest round in the region's most dangerously rivalry appears to be over for now. Israel still has not officially acknowledged that the attack in Iran in the early hours of Friday morning was its doing. Meanwhile, Iran's military and political leaders have downplayed, dismissed and even mocked that anything of consequence happened at all. The accounts over what kind of weaponry was deployed yesterday and how much damage was caused are still conflicting and incomplete. American officials speak of a missile strike, but Iranian officials say the attacks in the central province of Isfahan and in northwest Tabriz were caused by small exploding drones. After months of delay, the U.S. House of Representatives appears poised to hold a vote on tens of billions of dollars in American military aid for Ukraine and Israel this weekend. Both measures have vocal opponents in Congress, however, and their hopes of passage have hinged on a fragile bipartisan coalition to overcome daunting procedural and legislative obstacles. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson has said he is determined to bring the matter to a vote, even if it may put his hold on power in jeopardy. The Ukraine vote will be closely watched in Kyiv, which was warned of the urgent need for fresh support from its allies as Russia makes steady gains on the battlefield. A new £365 million venue is set to become the biggest indoor arena in the UK as it opens in Manchester. Corporately Live, a giant black box, has a capacity for 23,500 and aims to attract more major events from London. A test event featuring Rick Astley will take place on Saturday before it is officially opened by Peter Kay on Tuesday. Olivia Rodrigo, Take That, Eric Clapton, Liam Gallagher are also lined up for performances at the venue. That ends World News. Prior to concluding, the headlines of the World News once again. An audible sigh of relief in the Middle East. U.S. Congress close to passing long-awaited Ukraine aid. Cooperative Live, Manchester's £365 million new arena, opens with big capacity and plans. That ends world news. Moving on to development news. Steps are being taken to obtain the official certification of blue flag beaches for Unawatuna, Bentota, Pasikuda and Arugam Bay, the Marine Environment Protection Authority said. This was revealed during a recent meeting of the Sectorial Oversight Committee on Environment, Natural Resources and Sustainable Development chaired by MP Ajit Manapperuma. It was revealed that 28 beaches which have more tourist attraction have been selected for the Blue Flag Beaches certification. The iconic Blue Flag is one of the world's most recognized voluntary awards for beaches, marinas and sustainable tourism boats. That came to you in development news.
Moving on with sports news.
Moving on to sports news. Former England Test batter Raman Sabaro has died aged 92. Sabaro, who won the first of his 13 England caps in 1958, played domestically for Cambridge University, Surrey and Northamptonshire. After retiring from playing in 1961, he worked as a cricket administrator and match referee. The England and Wales Cricket Board said Sabaro, who made 3 Test centuries and averaged 46.85, had been England's oldest living men's player. That was sports news.
Go ekakthiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Global oil and gold prices have jumped while shares have slumped after reports of explosions near the Isfahan airport emerged just minutes after an US official told the Australian broadcaster ABC that Israel had fired missiles on one Iran site. Brent crude oil prices surged by over 3% to approximately $90 per barrel during Friday morning's trading session in Asia, while the price of gold remained near a new all-time high, surpassing $2,400 per ounce. Following the development in Iran, key stock indices in Japan, Hong Kong and South Korea experienced declines. That came to you in business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekakthiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news. Sri Lanka Purchasing Managers Index for Manufacturing, PMI Manufacturing, recorded an index value of 62.5 in March 2024, indicating an expansion in manufacturing activities. This marks the highest PMI Manufacturing that was recorded in 3 years. That was economic news.
Weather report.
Finally, we take a look at the weather report. The Met Department says showers or thunder showers will occur at a few places in the western, Sabaragamuwa, northwestern, Uva and central provinces and in the Anuradhapura, Vavuniya, Mannar, Galle and Mathura districts after 2 p.m. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the Sabaragamuwa and central provinces and in the Kalutara, Galle and Mathura districts during the morning. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. The Paris Club of Creditors have given financing assurances to support the IMF approval of debt sustainability in Sri Lanka. The Sri Lankan ambassador to Israel, Nimal Bandara, has assured that all Sri Lankans living in Israel are safe. All services connected to the supply of electricity and distribution of petroleum products declared as essential services. Another phase of the Jayagamu Sri Lanka mobile service is now underway in Mannar. The funeral of the Sarvodaya founder, Dr. A.T. Aryaratna, will be held this evening at the Independence Square. With that, we conclude the news, and over to my friend, and certainly yours, who's all geared up to keep you entertained with a wonderful collection of music this Saturday afternoon. Over to you, Asanka.